Hi everyone, now I'm going to be tying basically this pattern here. Now this is it's basically a Coq de Leon dry fly. Now this style of fly originally was tied by a gentleman called Meana, now if I pronounce his name correctly. Hook choice is up to yourself really, but I'm using the Fulling Mill. It's a dry fly hook. This one's the black nickel version, size 14. It's the ultimate dry. Now thread, I'm going to be using the Uni 80 in yellow. Just going to wax the thread. Start at the eye. I'm only going to come down 3 or 4 mil, come back up to about head length away from the eye. Now I'm going to tie in some Coq de Leon fibres. Now I have white and Coq de Leon, but I've also got the real McCoys, they say. The Coq de Leon fibres here. This one I'm going to be using is the Glden Fine Speckled. Now these flies are not cheap to tie when you're using feathers like these, and I think online I've seen them at nearly €5 each. So for a dry fly, that's quite a bit of money. So and the reason being is you do use quite a bit of Coq de Leon. Now, the white and Coq de Leon saddles, I have one or two, more like to use them, but I'll stick to the real Coq de Leon and then take a few fibres off. Normally we just use these in tails. Now I'm going to tie this forward of the eye, and hook length, I use that as a guide. Just tie it on the top, 2 or 3 turns. Now I'm just going to spread it slightly so I'm putting my nail on it. I'll just fan it slightly, I don't know if you can see that. It's basically use the thread turns, or what I'm going to be using, I'm going to use dubbing to lift and spread these fibres. Now the Coq de Leon fibre catches the light like you have no idea how well it catches light, and it just gives a natural shine and colour that you would see in the wing of a dry fly, as well as the tails. So we trim at an angle, so we get a nice taper cut. When we wind down we can tie it in and we'll get a nice taper as well to that point, and then I'm going to come back up. Now this is what's unusual with the fly, is the parachute hackles tied behind. I'm going to use a bright coloured post, in this case a hot orange. This is a Polypro. Catch this on the top. Now you get a good length, a good 1.5 inches, so that you can at least have something to hold. And again I'm going to trim this at an angle so we get a taper. Wax a thread, and then I usually keep my fingertip right at the end of the cut ends, slide it down as I wind the thread, and that helps to hold it. Stops it rotating with the thread. And then come back up, ready to tie in the hackle. Now you want a parachute hackle. I'm just using a furnace here. This is from a whiting saddle, and this is from a Meana. So you bare the stem, and what we're going to do is catch it at the back here, and then post both the hackle and the wing at the same time. So a couple of turns, and then we can wind up, get your thread turned right in close to the base before you start to come up. Just support the turn by holding the hackle and the Polypro. You could use like parapost in like these. There's quite a few. You could use even Antron would do it as well. Then come to the back and then wind down the body. Tying in the stem as we go down, and then we can tie in our tail. Now CDC feathers stripped of the fibre can be used in the tail. Now if you look here, I've actually got 2 here stripped. Now you can use, I've been using microfibres and even Coq de Leon. So if you imagine, I can lift some of those feathers away. There's a CDC, so what we're going to do is strip these. As I say, it is an unusual dressing that a fly. It's very popular. It's a lot of people like this dressing. So, but you can see a nice tapered stem there, I'm not going to strip this one, but I've got two here anyway, so what I'm going to do is tie them in. So I just strip the fibre off. Now you want to try and get the natural curve coming up and away from the hook. Never did this before, so normally I would get a tail length, the hook length, and just a wee touch further, so I've got the natural curve in my finger and thumb coming up. I'm going to catch it at the back here, come round with a kind of loose turn or two, just to see where we are. There's the two tail fibres, I'm just checking they're the same length. Now what I'm going to do here is just do a figure 8 through. So to do a figure 8, I come underneath the near side, and then over the top with a turn and onto the hook. Then I come over the top and underneath the far side, and then underneath, and then a turn on top. And that basically locks them out, you can see there. So then what I'm going to do is trim these. Now these are quite thick, so I'm going to trim at the length of the body. If it were thin I would cut it here, but they're quite thick, so to keep the body the same, or a nice taper, cut it, in this case the length of the body, 2/3 of the shank, which is there. And then we're going to make sure they're secure, just take our thread turns up, and then come back down. Now you could use the thread as the body, but I'm going to use a nice light olive. That's just a squirrel dub that I have. There's a wee touch of CDC in it, dyed the same colour. I must have been using in something, and it's a nice colour for, well, it's a nice colour for a dry fly. So we're going to lightly dub the dubbing, or dub it on, and then stretch it as we go up. Let's go back there, I want that out. Keep the body reasonably thin. Now I'm going to darken the thorax down with a dark, or a dun coloured SLF. So there's my body. I'm just going to trim away any long fibres, especially on the underside. Not so bothered by the top. Now I've got this is here, just a dun coloured SLF. Just going to take some of the dubbing. Slightly dub my on at the back. So we get a nice darkness. Now I'll put some near the front. But once I wind the hackle on, we'll see how it develops. Now we basically then wind our hackle, try and not catch any of the cotyledon fibres. Because we're doing a parachute, we do a turn, the next one should be underneath that. Just hold the Polypro as you wind round, just change hands, tighten up till you get enough hackle. Just going to do another turn here. I usually bring the hackle straight down. In this case I'm just going to lift things up so I can see the hackle there. I pinch it tight, and then I come round with the thread turn. 3 or 4 turns, making sure that's secure. I can then trim this away. Wash your thread now. Now I'm going to put some more dubbing on. Now you could use the thread to basically bring up the cotyledon fibre, but I'm going to basically bring with, get your thumb, and then just draw it back, but you want to spread it so that it's where it should be, giving the impression of the wing. So got my dubbing on, just making sure it's nice and tight. Tidy things up, working from the head, the eye of the hook up into the, or towards the dressing. I'm going to stretch out my dubbing here, that's fine. Now I'm going to take away what I don't need, and then I'm going to work my way through with the thread just to tighten the dubbing up slightly. Get to the eye, take away the excess dubbing, keep a hold of your thread tight, don't let your thread go. And varnish your thread with wet finish. And there we are. Trim away your thread. Just going to bring this round, because obviously we've pulled it up. And we trim the Polypro do about halfway, so if we come down, trim it away. Oh, missed one, missed two. And there we are. Now, looks really nice. It looks like it turned out quite well. You're always wary of how much they call it the Leon fibre to actually put on. Mainly because you don't really get a lot of fibres if you look at it. This is, I've used this side here to form the wing. Obviously got another one out on the other side, and then you maybe get another one, maybe two if you're out the feather, and some maybe even use more. It's something I would need to look at and maybe see how we go. Now if you were using this is the whiting, you've got a longer, much longer, more fibre, but it's not as, I would say, you don't know, you can see the difference, it's not as well marked. But it's up to yourself. You can get hold of the whiting and do the whiting, it just gives you the pattern. If you can get hold of the real Coq de Leon, then fine. So, but anyway, I hope that gives you some idea of the Louis Meana style dry fly. Beautiful pattern, I love tying this unusual patterns like this. So again, thanks for watching, until next time.